Okay, welcome to Wobbly Boots Big Lap. I'm Warren.
I'm Kathy, Warren's partner.
And we are now in far north Queensland. We've been on the road now for just over a month. Left Tasmania, we've worked our way through Victoria, New South Wales, and now we're all been to the ACT as well, now way up to far north Queensland. So we're going to share some of the adventures that we had along the way. And you're going to...
I'll do a little bit of a guide through the vehicle that we're travelling in and how we're managing to adapt to sleeping in the back of a car, basically.
Yes, it's going to be 6 months in the back of the station wagon, basically, but so far so good. This is obviously a blog on travelling with a disability, so we're going to cover off on the particular condition that I have, some of the pitfalls that we've had along the way, and but we're also going to share with you some of the places that we've been to, and
some of the good places.
Some of the great places that we've been to.
Yeah.
So we've been to some places that haven't been particularly accessible and have been reasonably difficult, and then we've been to other places that have been absolutely brilliant. So we'll share some of those along the way, some of the, as I said before, some of the pitfalls of travelling with a disability. Showers in caravan parks aren't brilliant. I've lost track of the number of nudie runs I've had to do from the toilet stalls to the showers because I just can't get undressed and dressed in a
little small cubicle.
Yes, it's really difficult for me. But, anyway, stay tuned, and we'll see you in a little while.
Great.
Okay.
Done.
You ready? All right.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play. You know, don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Just keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
So the neuromuscular disorder that I have is called Charcot Marie Tooth. It affects about 1 in 2,500 in the population. It's a peripheral neuropathy, which means that the signals that travel down the peripheral nerves to the furthest points away from your heart, which is your lower legs and your hands, get a bit confused. It doesn't stimulate the muscle properly, and the muscle wastes. Can't treat it, can't cure it. You're just born with it. And in my body, my calf muscles have wasted away to being virtually non-existent. My legs, they hold me up, but that's about it really. I can walk around on a nice flat surface without too many dramas, but if you throw uneven footpath into the mix, or walking up steep hills or trying to walk down steep hills and staircases, unless they've got a handrail, will pretty much are beyond me these days. There's a fair bit of trepidation with every step that I take because I don't have any confidence because I don't have any feeling in my feet. I very much need to be looking where I'm walking, so I have that visual aid as well. Of a night time when it's dark on uneven surfaces, it's really difficult for me to maintain my balance because I don't have that visual reference. So this whole journey's actually been fairly confronting for me. I don't often see footage of myself walking around. I don't, the footage that Kathy took of me struggling up the stairs on the paddle steamer at Swan Hill. It's to me, when I'm actually doing it, it doesn't feel that bad. But when I'm looking at the footage, I'm thinking, well, obviously it is. I've fallen over 3 times so far, mainly through inattention, because my ankles are fused. I still have a bit of foot drop, so my foot when it comes through, it drops down. And there's a potential there for my toes to kick the ground, and once that happens, I haven't got the strength in my legs to stop myself from falling over. So there's no confidence there in walking around at all. So it's been quite confronting so far. Equally with my hands, because of the small muscles in the back of my hands have wasted away. My thumbs aren't really opposable anymore. I can't get them around to where I need them to be able to have those fine motor skills that you need to do buttons up, do zips up. Even simple things like gripping a pen properly to sign my name, or in certain situations, gripping cutlery and to eat when I'm out at restaurants and things like that when it's unfamiliar to me. It is what it is. You've just got to live with it and hope that with the advances that they're making in stem cell therapy, that in time they'll be able to either come up with a therapy that's effective or entirely cure it. Having said that, though, we've been fairly pleasantly surprised with most places that we've been. Australia, I think, is working hard on becoming more inclusive for mobility impaired and disabled people of whatever disability that they have. We haven't been to too many towns where the public spaces haven't had wheelchair ramps, for instance, and accessible toilets. And some places do it better than others. The tourism orientated places. Once we hit the beach in Queensland and got to Yeppoon, everything was just brilliant. There was, and the disability access ramps and other features that they had were kind of just built into the landscape, so they weren't even noticeable. It wasn't like you felt that it was specially put there for disabled people. It was just kind of there and made it really easy to get around. The major tourist attractions in Canberra, the War Memorial and the National Art Gallery that we did were both brilliant as well for disabled access. Unfortunately, though, we're staying in caravan parks a lot, and a lot of them, whilst they have access ramps, so you can get into their office and pay them. Once you're actually in the park and you're struggling to get upstairs into amenities, or you're in tight shower stalls where you can't get undressed properly because there's no seat. So I find myself having to get undressed in the toilet, do a nudie run to the towel stall, the shower stall, and then reverse that process when I get out of the shower, dash out of the shower into a toilet cubicle and sit on the toilet and get dressed. So I think there's a way to go, but all up, we haven't had too much difficulty so far.
Carni, and this is where we sleep, where we cook, and where we've been staying, or we'll be staying for 6 months. Okay, so this is our bed that we had made up by Warren's father. It's a foldable bed. So the idea is that everything can fall back. I'll just move that cushion up there. Got a great mattress that will just push backwards like this. And then this can lift up and fold back. And so underneath here we've got long-term storage, Warren's bits and pieces, my bits and pieces, and the table and chairs also can get put here, which is incredibly handy, especially as the weather gets rainy or we need to get things in quickly. It can easily be done. And this simply folds back, and just making sure that the legs are sitting properly. And there you go. The bed's set up. Okay, so at night time we need some privacy in here, so got some curtains which just velcro into place. And then the doors here, when they're closed, are able to just pull the curtains across, and that gives us enough darkness and privacy for the evening. I've made some privacy curtains in here, and so this is just a curtain with some eyelets which easily just pulls across, and that works well. In here I've got the fridge, so the fridge gets taken out of the back and put in the front overnight. It just sits on the seat. I push it in there and it stays firmly there. It gets plugged in to the power source, which we're usually hooked up to power. And through the daytime when we're driving, it just uses the other port. Okay, I'll put the curtains in. So we knew that we were coming into an area where there's going to be lots of mosquitoes, so I made up some magnetic mosquito nets which will just sit over the windows, and they work fine. Let a bit of ventilation in the evenings. And then around here again, this goes up for privacy in the evening, and we've got a cooking area here. So I've got the basics: tea, coffee, bathrooms, bits and pieces, cutlery and dishes and cooking equipment. I find it quite handy just to quickly cook here rather than set up a big kitchen area. Can be used for picnics through the daytime as well. And down the bottom here I've got more of a long-term pantry storage, extra cooking equipment and bits and pieces. So we've also got a little bit more storage up here in our pod. There's actually lots of storage left over up there, so we've got plenty of room for bits and pieces should we need them. We get hooked into the power through the back here, and we've always got a power board with us so that through the evening we can power up equipment. And then making a cup of coffee is easy because we've bought a kettle and we can just pop it up here, make a cuppa if we need it, if we're at a power site, and that's about it. It's easy.
Thanks for watching part 1. We'll be back very soon with part 2, in which we'll be talking about some of the pitfalls of travelling on the road with a disability, also some tips on accessibility and how to avoid those pitfalls, as well as sharing some images and videos of some of the great places we've been so far. So stay tuned and we'll see you then.